the first question that you really have to ask yourself and be honest, and that's, what kind of buyer are you? Are you bucket number one, and that is second home? It is purely for friends and family, making memories. Maybe you let it out to, business associates, to give them a special treat or something like that. But it's all about you and your family and friends. And then there's the second bucket, which is kind of what I call the hybrid. And that is the people who it's mostly second home, family and friends, memories, business associates, but you rent it out. Maybe, high season, so you make enough to cover expenses, the taxes, and insurance, and things like that. And then there's the third bucket, that it's an investment to you. Sure, you may come once in a while, whatever, but really you're leveraged, you've got a mortgage, and you need that cash flow to make this thing work. And so be honest and answer that question first, and everything else flows from that. We bought our first place here in 2019, and my daughter's in school here at the local school system. We've been coming here for decades. Literally 30 years ago, our first trip together before we were married was to my wife's grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary here in Port Aransas. And she's been coming here even longer than that, since she was a kid. Her dad, family trips and fishing and stuff like that. So this is a talk that I would have with a friend. It's not a sales pitch, it's just straight talk. And of course, the number everybody looks at is that gross number on the listing. And as there's so much shrinkage in the number, from repairs, management fees, insurance policies, and there's three: windstorm, flood, and your regular hazard insurance like you got back home. And the sun takes its toll, the salt takes its toll. That's what we call the island rent. And so there's a big difference between what's advertised on gross and the net. And then there's the fact is that there's a lot of properties that don't have a great rental because they are not meant to be cash flow machines. They're great properties because people use them as their second home, or they rent them out a little bit to pay their expenses. And so really the gross that's a headline on an MLS is almost to be dismissed. And as I mentioned, the island charges rent too. Salt, air, and corrosion on decks and AC units. I mean, heck, our AC unit's less than 5 years old and it's about ready to be replaced. And so the island charges its rent too. And you have to be prepared for that. Even furniture, because of the sand and the cleaning. I mean, I'm not just the outside, it's the inside too. This island is tough on properties. Just be prepared for that and everything will go well. And here's the operational reality. I know a lot of people have Airbnbs, other places, but it really is different here. You've got two basic models. You've got the condos with their in-house operations, and then you've got the independents, where if you've got a house or you're part of an HOA that doesn't require you to do their in-house condo management, those are typically 15 to 25% as of this recording, and the in-house folks are typically higher. They're typically like 25 to 40% I've seen as high as, but there is a value for those in-house operations because they've got a front desk where people check in and you can see them and you have to talk to a human, and you don't typically have 20 people in a condo meant for 6, or you don't have the bachelor parties and the other things going in like that. So if you're doing rentals, and if you're a second home only, then you don't have to worry about it. But if you're doing rentals, you really have to consider that in the place you're buying. Is it a condo that has mandatory in-house, and is that a value to you? And or is this an old townhouse or an HOA that doesn't require in-house and you can choose your own management company? So that's definitely something to consider. And another big consideration is the calendar. You have to look at the full calendar. Don't model on the summer months. You have to think about the winter months. And we have Winter Texans here, and you're not going to get as much rent from a Winter Texans as you are from the beachgoers in the summertime. But if you treat the Winter Texans right, they come back year after year, and it's a great way to keep your place rented in the off season. The other thing you really have to consider is the requested name game. That is a huge part of getting your unit rented on a regular basis, is getting that requested. And everybody's got a clever nickname for their unit. Stay away from Surf Shack. It shows no imagination. Even use chat to help you come up with a good name if you don't have one already picked out. But anything that you can do, maybe offer goodies or gift certificates, and definitely have a splash page. It costs almost nothing these days to have a splash page of your unit, and get your unit requested. Otherwise, you're really at the mercy of the round robin game of whatever management company you have, whether it's the independents or the condo association mandatory management. It's always just round robin unless they request your unit. And then there's the rose-colored sunglasses, I like to call them, and that is believing the cash machine story, thinking that it's going to be your beach ATM. It's not, especially not at first. That's why I say that you really need some strong cash reserves for the first 5 to 7 years. After you've owned it that long, you might really start getting some free cash flow. But honestly, don't expect it to be an ATM machine in your first year or two. People who have that expectation end up selling in a couple of years, and they leave their equity here at the beach. And so it comes down to this one thing. What is the true coastal ownership burden? And does this still make sense after it's all counted? The reserves, the maintenance, the replacements, the fees, all of that. If it is, you got yourself a winner. And just to help you out and make it easier, I've got a free STR buyer checklist. The link's in the description. Check it out. And if you've got something on your radar right now, send me the address and I'll look at it for you. No pressure. That's how the island works. We're on island time.